Hey guys, I am going to do a warm up with you guys today to remind you of what we talked about with moles yesterday. So you're going to need a periodic table and a calculator available. Go ahead and get those out. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so yesterday we talked about moles and how to solve mole problems, right? That's what we're doing today is we're just practicing moles, lots of moles, all right? For solving mole problems, if you follow these steps, it's going to help you out a bunch. First, you're going to start with whatever number you're given. Okay, again, you're going to be given a number. That's the first thing that goes in the first track every time. Then you're going to solve for whatever it is that you need. Okay, so today we're focusing on going from moles to grams or grams to moles. So we're not going to be using the other two definitions, but it's the same trend no matter which definition you use. Okay, so here's our first example. All right, it says I have 2.71 moles of sodium. How many grams of sodium is that? Okay, so we're given 2.71 moles of sodium. So we're going to start with 2.71. And I'm going to say MOL for moles. And then sodium is Na. I'm going to draw my train track. Okay, this is step one. All right, again, step one, write what you're given, draw the train track. For step two, I'm going to use a different color, one that you can see. For step two, you're going to need a periodic table. Since we're dealing with masses, the number comes from the periodic table. You're going to find sodium, and that it says 22.990. So, do you remember from yesterday? Am I going to put 22.990 grams on top or on bottom? I'm going to be putting it on top because since I have moles here, I have to put moles on bottom here. So this is going to be moles of sodium. And the number that goes with moles every time is always 1. And then the number with the definition that we're looking for, that's what goes opposite of 1. So the 22.990 grams of sodium goes on top. Okay. So since this number's on top, what do? Do we multiply or do we divide? We're going to multiply. The number's on top, we multiply. So I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to do 2.71 times 22.990. It gives me 62.30. We'll just say 62.30. Okay, and again, that's grams of sodium. Okay, so if you're going from moles to grams, this is exactly what you're doing. You're just plugging in the right numbers. Okay. Sometimes it gives you grams and it asks you to find moles. All right, so that's what's happening here. Okay, we have 1.43 grams of helium. How many moles of helium is that? Okay, so we start with what we're given. Okay, we're given 1.43 grams of helium, which is He. And then I'm going to draw my train track. Okay, again, first step, number in the problem with the units, draw the train track. Again, units are important. If you skip the units, you're being lazy and you're going to get answers wrong. Don't be lazy. Okay, so look at, we have grams of helium here. So is grams, let's just look at units first. Is grams of helium going to go on top or bottom of the next track? Should go on bottom because we have grams of helium here. So we're going to have grams of helium here to make them cancel out, which means we're going to have moles of helium on top because it's always 1 mole equals something. Okay, so again, that's 1 mole is equal to so many grams of helium. So let's look at the periodic table, figure out how many grams of helium are in 1 mole. It says 4.003. All right, so far so good. But now we have the number on bottom. So what are we supposed to do if the number's on bottom? The number's on bottom, we're going to be dividing it. So that means I'm going to do 1.43 divided by 4.003. That gives me 0.357. And we're looking for moles of helium. Okay, so this is what you're doing for the most part today. You will have some questions that ask you this. Okay, it says, remember for compounds, you add together all the atoms to get the molecular mass or the molar mass. In this worksheet, it's called the molar weight. All right. So remember to get that. That's when you're going to list out the elements that you have. So like here we have magnesium. We have 1 magnesium. And then this is in parentheses and it has a 2 next to it. So that's saying that we have 2 oxygen and 2 hydrogen. Okay, so oxygen 2 times hydrogen 2 times. Okay, it's kind of like what we did for percent composition because I need to get that total number. So magnesium on the periodic table is 24.305. Oxygen is 15.999. And hydrogen is 1.008. So we got 24.305. This is 31.998. And this is 2.016. Okay, so I just did this math across. I did a lot of mental math there to save some time, but you should be using your calculator on these just to make sure you're getting the right numbers. Yeah, so now I'm going to use my calculator because I can't do mental math that quickly on this part. 24.305 plus 31.998 plus 2.016. So the total mass for magnesium hydroxide, which is what the element is 58.319. Okay, so when it says molecular weight, this is what you're doing. All right, so speaking of today's assignment, let me switch screens. All right, when you click on today's assignment, you're going to be making your own copy. This is what it looks like. All right, it has an answer sheet. And if you come down here to the bottom, you're going to see where it says answers and pictures and questions. All right, so you're going to click on questions. And now here's the problems that you're doing. Okay, so you're going to need a scratch piece of paper. You're going to do all of the work on the scratch piece of paper. So 15 grams of lithium is equal to how many moles? Okay, so these are all one-step problems. All right, and again, they're all using masses, so you do need a periodic table. And then here, molecular weights, what we just did. And then you're going to be using the molecular weights for these compounds to do the last couple molar masses. Okay, when you get your answers to all of these, then you're going to come over here and you're going to start putting your answers in. So for number 1, you would put the answer in here. And then what's going to happen is when you press enter, it's going to start pixelating or coloring in some of these squares. So don't do anything to these squares. And when you're done with the whole assignment, you're going to be getting a picture. You need to make sure that you take a screenshot of the picture, turn that in, and then also turn in your work so we can see that the work that you did. All right. But yeah, that's what you're doing for the assignment today. Okay.